breaking news. You two have just broken a story on the Daily Telegraph website. It's up right now.
Gold Coast Titans, we've got to the bottom of why they're barnstorming forward. David Fifita was dropped to play for Ipswich in the Q Cup last week. Apparently went to coach Des Hasler last week and said, I want to play on the left edge.
Okay.
Des backs Beau Firma, who I think has been their best forward this year, said that's his position. If Des stood up and said, if you want to play left edge, go and play for Ipswich in the Q Cup. Okay. I actually like it. I think Fifita's on big bucks, under-delivering for a long period of time at that club. Had the opportunity to go to Penrith or Roosters last year, but Des just isn't copping it anymore. Tough call.
You're pulling a few heads over here, Rudy.
Underperforming, yeah, OK, Dave's been a bit inconsistent. He was their best player 3 weeks ago against the Dragons, playing on the left-hand side of the field.
So how many games have he had? One in 9.
He was about the only... No, that's not his only good game this year. Have you watched him? I've watched him.
Hey, mate, I watch every game, and he has not played well this year.
He's had good games, he's had poor games. But if you're going to tell me that Dave is the only bloke to blame for the way they've played all year, it's the coach's responsibility, the coach's job to make that work. He's got to find a way to make it work with Dave. Because Dave, they're a better team when Dave plays.
I just thought off the back of Buzz, Bullamore's been their best player. Not just their best forward. Sorry. He's been their best player, let alone their best forward. He's on the left-hand side doing his job. Fifita, if he's $1 million player and he's that good, it should be okay on the right-hand side.
Well, but the thing is, Rudy, this is a bit like what we went through at the West Tigers, which is a team-first mentality. Doesn't matter, as long as I'm wearing this jersey. Well, you wrote the story with me. You got the same mail as I did. He went to Des and said, I want to play left. And he's entitled to ask that, and Hasler's entitled to knock it back.
But I'm not sure he said, play me left or stick me in New South Wales Cup.
Well, that's a fair call.
No, I didn't say that. You misinterpreted.
No, but I'm saying I'm not sure he said that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's actually that's a fair call.
That's a pretty significant part of the discussion, right? Because he could have just stuck him back on the bench, which he has done this year. If you didn't want to play, if you didn't want to have him in the starting side,
I'm sure he would have thought if we were a better chance of winning that football game on the weekend, he would have put him in the side.
Well, then he didn't watch the game. He must have been watching when they played the Dragons.
I totally disagree with you. I think he is a $1 million player.
Yeah,
just not.
Gordon, how big a difference is it left to right hand side?
Well, defensively, see, so I was a left-hand side player, but if you got someone like Nathan Hamish or Brad Thorne or whatever, you'd say, mate, what side do you want to play? But generally, you do feel more comfortable on one side, but you can't get stuck there. You know what I mean? Because then you become that one-sided player. But the alarming point for me, right, is he went back to reserve grade. David Fifita, that we've all watched him have games where he's picked it up like under eights and run over 4 or 5 people and slammed the ball down. He had 9 carries or something for 50 metres. Like, that's the part. So when the penny drops with Dave and he wants to play, and we've all seen that David Fifita, we've watched one of the greatest players, one of the greatest back rows, and I sit there in awe. But that's the Dave that we all need.
What would you do with him? I mean, you're
I know he's had surgery, and I really like the way he's played. Well, I haven't spoke to Dave, as he said. I don't know what's gone on the inside, but if the coach tells you to play on one side and you got someone like Beau Firma that's played Origin or been in the Origin arena and he's on that side, I think it's a bit disrespectful because you don't own the sides of the field unless you're Mel Meninga or a Gene Miles or a Steve Renouf or someone like that. You don't own that side.
I think at the end of the year, one of them will be gone. Dave or Des.
Well, just off that,
I think they both might be.
Well, who knows, right? David Fifita said that the truth will come out.
Yeah.
Is this the truth?
Well, by the sounds of it, it is.
Is there nothing else to this story?
Well, I'd suggest, I don't know this, but given what we've been told today, they've clearly had some form of disagreement and disagreed over the situation. Perhaps that's the truth. Maybe they don't bargain.
Do you hear? We know that Tino is such a club-first logo heart player.
Yes.
Do you hear whispers that he gets frustrated with the lack of input
from him?
From
that he's given?
Fifita?
Well, they're good mates, aren't they? And part of the reason Dave stayed was because he had a pact with Tino to stay together.
I'm not tipping Tino in, but it's just something I hear.
Well, I'm sure a lot of players get frustrated with Dave because we all see how talented he is. right? And we
You're
all
saying
see
he's had
how
one good game in
devastating.
9.
Well, no, I'm not saying. I never said he had one good game in 9. I said he was their best player 3 weeks ago. He's had several good games this year.
No, he hasn't.
Well, he has. He has, including from the bench. He has.
I'm sorry.
But I'm sure there's people get frustrated with Dave because he's so talented. And he's just so hard to handle, and we just don't see it.
He's
enough.
coming back from surgery on his ankle.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's one of the excuses, but something
Excuse
clicks
me,
with Dave.
Cleary had surgery on his shoulder in the off-season.
Yep.
It's a professional NRL. You
Great
come
point.
back when you're fit to play.
Yeah, great point.
You're really loving Cleary tonight, aren't you, Buzz?
I think he's a great player.
I do too.
Signed
Did
jersey.
the Titans? I know this is good, all good in hindsight, but they've paid a lot of money for him, right? So they're not even in a position now where if they wanted to offload him, they could. They can't because he's on so much money. No one's even going to. No one's going to.
Penrith-
Because he nearly went to Penrith and the Roosters.
Penrith put their hat in the ring, and so did the Roosters. So
Yeah, but that was then.
But there's going to be some clubs because of the talent that he's got. There's no doubt.
Well, what would a club pay for him now then?
I don't know, but you'd want I think most coaches would look at that talent and go, I see, like you see something in them.
Can I say one thing? And I argued on this show when we interviewed Billy Slater last year. How could you not possibly pick David Fifita? Now I rate Billy Slater as such a sharp rugby league mind, a great judge of character. Wanted nothing to do with him. And I actually said to Billy, "What does Cleary, what does Robinson see in him? Make an offer that you don't." And
Someone did sign him.
Yeah.
The Gold Coast would have to chip
not
in.
on anywhere near
No,
that
the
money.
Gold Coast would have
I'm
to chip in a
talking the
fair
dollars.
chunk of money.
Yeah, they would.
But if it frees $700,000 for them, that's a lot of money you can go and get a halfback with. But they free $700,000, go buy Adam Reynolds.
Yeah.
Right? Get Adam Reynolds for 1 year to guide that team around the park.
All right. Well said, Reddy. You've had a great night tonight, by the way.
thanks,
Thank
mate.
you
By the
very
way,
much.
out of money wants 300.
And next
so
time,
it's a bit cheaper.
next time, can you wear that pink jacket?
I'll wear it, yeah. Next month.
Buzz, outstanding as usual.
See you,
Thank you very
boys.
much, Buzzy.